Chapter 2. Seconds before Mr. Robbins walks in, I lower my hood, click off my iPod, and pretend I'm reading my book, not bothering to look up when he says, "Class, this is Damon August. He just moved here from New Mexico." "Okay, Damon, you can take that empty seat in the back, right next to Ever. You'll have to share her book until you get your own copy." Damon is gorgeous. I know this without once looking up. I just focus on my book as he makes his way toward me, since I know way too much about my classmates already. So as far as I'm concerned, an extra moment of ignorance really is bliss. But according to the innermost thoughts of Stacy Miller, sitting just 2 rows before me, Damon August is totally smoking hot. Her best friend, Honor, completely agrees. So does Honor's boyfriend, Craig, but that's a whole other story. "Hey," Damon slides onto the seat next to mine, my backpack making a muffled thud as he drops it to the floor. I nod, refusing to look any further than his sleek, black motorcycle boots. The kind that are more GQ than Hell's Angels. The kind that looks very out of place among the rows of multicolored flip-flops currently gracing the green carpeted floor. Mr. Robbins asks us all to turn our books to page 133, prompting Damon to lean in and say, "Mind if I share?" I hesitate, dreading the proximity, but slide my book all the way over until it's teetering off the edge of my desk. And when he moves his chair closer, bridging the small gap between us, I scoot to the farthest part of my seat and hide beneath my hood. He laughs under his breath, but since I've yet to look at him, I have no idea what it means. All I know is that it sounded light and amused, but like it held something more. I sink even lower, cheek on palm, eyes on the clock, determined to ignore all the withering glances and critical comments directed my way, stuff like, "Poor, hot, sexy, gorgeous new guy having to sit next to that freak." That emanates from Stacy, Honor, Craig, and just about everyone else in the room. Well, except for Mr. Robbins, who wants class to end almost as much as me. By lunch, everyone's talking about Damon. "Have you seen new kid Damon? He's so hot. So sexy. I heard he's from Mexico." "No, I think it's Spain." "Whatever, it's some foreign place." I'm totally asking him to winter formal. "You don't even know him yet." "Don't worry, I will." "Oh my god, have you seen the new kid Damon?" Haven sits beside me, peering through her growing out bangs, their spiky tips ending just shy of her dark red lips. "Oh please, not you too." I shake my head and bite into my apple. "You would not be saying that if you'd been privileged enough to actually see him," she says, removing her vanilla cupcake from its pink cardboard box, licking the frosting right off the top in her usual lunchtime routine, even though she dresses more like someone who'd rather drink blood than eat tiny little sweet cakes. "Are you guys talking about Damon?" Miles whispers, sliding onto the bench and placing his elbows on the table, his brown eyes darting between us, his baby face curving into a grin. "Gorgeous. Did you see the boots? So vogue. I think I'll invite him to be my next boyfriend." Haven gazes at him with narrowed yellowed eyes. "Too late. I called dibs." "I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were into non-goths," he smirks, rolling his eyes as he unwraps his sandwich. Haven laughs. "When they look like that, I am. I swear he's just so freaking smoldering. You have to see him." She shakes her head, annoyed that I can't join in the fun. "He's like combustible." "You haven't seen him?" Miles grips his sandwich and gapes at me. I gaze down at the table, wondering if I should just lie. They're making such a big deal. I'm thinking it's my only way out. Only I can't. Not to them. Haven and Miles are my best friends. My only friends. And I feel like I'm keeping enough secrets already. "I sat next to him in English," I finally say. "We were forced to share a book, but I didn't really get a good look." "Forced?" Haven moves her bangs to the side, allowing for an unobstructed view of the freak Who dare say such a thing? Oh, that must have been awful for you. That must have really sucked. She rolls her eyes and sighs. I swear, you have no idea how lucky you are, and you don't even appreciate it. Which book? Miles asks, as though the title will somehow reveal something meaningful. Wuthering Heights? I shrug, placing my apple core on the center of my napkin and folding the edges all around. And your hood, up or down? Haven asks. I think back, remembering how I raised it right as he moved toward me. Up, I tell her. Yeah, definitely up. I nod. Well, thank you for that, she mumbles, breaking her vanilla cupcake in half. The last thing I need is competition from the blonde goddess. I cringe and gaze down at the table. I get embarrassed when people say things like that. Apparently, I used to live for the kind of thing, but not anymore. Well, what about Miles? You don't think he's competition? I ask, diverting the attention away from me and back on someone who can truly appreciate it. Yeah, Miles runs his hand through his short brown hair and turns, gracing us with his very best side. Don't rule it out. Totally moot, Haven says, dusting white crumbs from her lap. Damon and Miles don't play for the same team, which means his oh-so-devastating model-quality looks don't count. How do you know which team he's on? Miles asks, twisting the cap off of his vitamin water and narrowing his gaze. How can you be so sure? Gaydar, she says, tapping her forehead, and trust me, this guy does not register. Not only is Damon in my first period English class and my sixth period art class, not that he sat by me and not that I looked, but the thoughts swirling around the room, even from our teacher, Miss Machado, told me everything I needed to know. But now he'd apparently parked next to me too, and even though I'd managed to avoid viewing anything more than his boots, I knew my grace period had just come to an end. Oh my God, there he is, right directly next to us, Miles squeals, in a high-pitched, sing-songy whisper. He saves for life's most exciting moments. And check out that ride, shiny black BMW, extra dark tinted windows. Nice, very nice. Okay, so here's the deal. I'm going to open my door and accidentally bump into him, so then I'll have an excuse to talk to him. He turns, awaiting my consent. Do not scratch my car, or his car, or any other car, I say, shaking my head, retrieving my keys. Fine, he pouts. Shatter my dreams, whatever, but just do yourself a favor and check him out, and then look me in the eye and tell me he doesn't make you want to freak out and faint. I roll my eyes and squeeze between my car and the poorly packed VW Bug that's angled so awkwardly it looks like it's trying to mount my Maida. And just as I'm about to unlock the door, Miles yanks down my hood, swipes my sunglasses, and runs to the passenger side, where he urges me, via not-so-subtle head, tilts a thumb, jabs to look at Damon, who's standing behind him. So it's not like I can avoid it forever, so I take a deep breath and look. And what I see leaves me unable to speak, blink, or move. And even though Miles starts waving at me, glaring at me, and basically giving me every signal he can think of to abort the mission and return to headquarters, I can't. I'd like to, because I know I'm acting like a freak. Everyone's already convinced that I am, but it's completely impossible. And it's not just because Damon is undeniably beautiful, with his shiny dark hair that hits just shy of his shoulders and curves around his high sculpted cheekbones. But when he looks at me, when he lifts his dark sunglasses and meets my gaze, I see that his almond-shaped eyes are deep, dark, and strangely familiar, framed by lashes so lush they almost seem fake. And his lips are ripe and inviting with a perfect Cupid's bow. And the body that holds it all up is long, lean, tight, and clad in all black. Ever, hello? You can wake up now, please. Miles turns to Damon, laughing nervously. Sorry about my friend here. She's usually has her hood on. It's not like I don't know. I have to stop. I need to stop right now. But Damon's eyes are fixed on mine, and their color grows deeper as his mouth begins to curve. But it's not his complete gorgeousness that has me so transfixed. It has nothing to do with that. It's mainly the way the entire area surrounding his body, starting from his glorious head and going all the way down to the square-cut toes of his black motorcycle boots, consists of nothing but blank, empty space. No color, no aura, no pulsing light show. Everyone has an aura. Every living being has swirls of color emanating from their body, a rainbow energy field they're not even aware of, and it's not like it's dangerous or scary or in any way bad. It's just part of the visible, well, to me anyway, magnetic fields. Before the accident, I didn't even know about things like that, and I definitely wasn't able to see it. But from the moment I woke up in the hospital, I noticed color everywhere. Are you feeling okay? The red-haired nurse asked, gazing down anxiously. Yes, but why are you all pink? I squinted, confused by the pastel glow that enveloped her. Why am I what? She struggled to hide her alarm. Pink, it's all around you, especially your head. Okay, sweetheart, you just rest and I'll go get the doctor, she'd said, backing out of the room and running down the hall. It wasn't until after I'd been subjected to a barrage of eye exams, brand scans, psych evals, and that's where I learned to keep the color wheel sightings to myself. And by the time I started heeding thoughts, getting life stories by touch, and enjoying regular visits with my dead sister Riley, I knew better than to share. I guess I'd gotten so used to living like this, I'd forgotten there was any other way. But seeing Damon, outlined by nothing more than the shiny black paint job of his expensive, cool car, is a vague reminder of happier, more normal days. Ever, right? Damon says, his face warming into a smile, revealing just another one of his perfections, dazzling white teeth. I stand there, willing my eyes to leave his, as Miles makes a show of clearing his throat, and remembering how he hates to be ignored, I motion toward him and say, Oh, sorry, Miles, Damon, Miles. And the whole time my eyes never once waver. Damon glances at Miles, nodding briefly before focusing back on me. And even though I know this sounds crazy, for the split second his eyes moved away, I felt strangely cold and weak. But the moment his gaze returns, it's all warm and good again. Can I ask you a favor? He smiles. Would you lend me your copy of Wuthering Heights? I need to get caught up and I won't have the time to visit the bookstore tonight. I reach into my backpack, retrieve my dog-eared copy, and dangle it from the tips of my fingers, part of me yearning to brush the tips against his, to make contact with this beautiful stranger, while the other part, the stronger, wiser, psychic part, cringes, dreading the awful flash of insight that comes with each touch. But it's not until he tossed the book into his car, lowered his sunglasses, and said, Thanks, see you tomorrow, that I realize that other than a slight tingle in the tips of my fingers, nothing happened. And before I can even respond, he is backing out of the space and driving away. Excuse me, Miles says, shaking his head as he climbs in beside me. But when I said you'd freak out when you saw him, it wasn't a suggestion. It was supposed to be taken literally. Seriously. What happened back there? Because that was some mega tense awkwardness and real hello, my name is Ever and I'll be your next talker kind of moment. I'm serious. I thought we were gonna have to resuscitate you. And believe me, you are extremely lucky our good friend Haven was not here to see that, because I hate to remind you, but she did call dibs. Miles continues like that, yammering on and on the entire way home, but I just let him talk it out as I navigate traffic, my finger absently tracing the thick red scar on my forehead, the one that's hidden under my bangs. I mean, how can I explain how ever since the accident, the only people whose thoughts I can't hear, whose lives I can't know, or whose auras I can't see, are already dead.